What is up, my peeps? Joshua Smith here at GSD Studios. First off, I want to thank you for watching the show. I truly appreciate your support. I know it's annoying, but please listen to the entire intro before the podcast begins, as I really need your help. So before we jump in, just a few quick favors, you guys. Number one, please share the show with anyone you feel that will benefit. This truly helps grow the show and has a massive impact on many lives. So please go out there, share the show. Sharing is caring, right? Number two, if you have not already, make sure that you subscribe to my YouTube channel. Please leave a 5-star review on iTunes and in Stitcher, again, if you have not done so already. Number three, make sure that you join the private GSD Mode Facebook Mastermind group. If you go to www.gsdmode.com, you'll see a link, a button right there on the home page that you can click and request to be added to that group right away. And lastly, I want to give our sponsors a quick shout out that make this show entirely possible. Our first sponsor is my personal 90-day mastery bootcamp. This is my personal mentorship training program where I give you everything that I do inside my business. You get my entire playbook, you guys. We have 12 live 3+ hour long sessions. Each session we go so in depth on exactly what I do inside my real estate team and how I operate my business. Plus, there's a lot of different bonus sessions. You get access to everything I do inside my business, on my tracking forms, presentations, checklists, lead generation tactics, lead follow-up tactics, team contracts, and much more. There's absolutely nothing that I withhold from you that you don't get access to. Plus, you get daily access to me inside the group. So this is hands down the most effective and affordable real estate training program on the planet. Check us out, www.90daymastery.com, or click the link below to learn more about that. If you do join, make sure to plug in promo code Live Mastery. That's all caps, all one word, all together, which will save you $500. Make the whole entire program only $997, or 3 payments of $333. Our next sponsor number 2, is perfectstormnow.com. This is an insanely effective lead generation website for realtors, and now offers not just the front end website, but a website and CRM combo with all my personal written follow-up drips and scripts. And some of these, you guys, go out 1,000+ days. We made it where it's 100% dummy proof. And this system, you guys, competes with $1,000+ month systems that exist in the industry, and it's only $199 per month. So make sure to check us out, www.perfectstormnow.com, where you can check out in-depth demos, client testimonials, more info, all that fun stuff. Our third sponsor is EMF. I'm really excited about this one. This is Optimized Life Nutrition's newest supplement, newest nootropic. It's by far the most powerful nootropic on the planet. EMF stands for Energy, Memory, Focus. If you're like me and you want to have insane energy, improved memory, extreme, intense, focused, this is the best product, you guys, that money can buy. I take it every single day, and the results are insane. Improved energy, improved focus, improved mood, awareness, and we've even had many clients tell us improved sex, dude. So it's just this crazy, insane, overall life-enhancing product. So check that out at www.optimizedlifenutrition.com. Lastly, if you want to be like me and the crew here at GSD Studios, kicking ass every single day, highly recommend that you rock your GSD gear here on the website, www.gsdmode.com. Snag your shirts. We have women's shirts, men's shirts. I got some hats, and we got a lot more apparel on the way. So that's all I got for you guys. Hope you enjoy the show, and we will talk to you soon. What is up, my peeps? Joshua Smith here with another GSD Mode interview, where every single week we interview top entrepreneurs and just straight up top badasses out there dominating their space. These are people choosing to not live a life of mediocrity, but instead to go out there and create amazing, big, epic lives for themselves and their family, as well as have a big impact on others' lives, which is part of the big reason that they agree to spend a tremendous amount of time out of their day to come on the show and give back to us. So really stoked and honored, you guys, to have my friend Jere Metcalf on the show. Welcome to the show.
Hi, good to be here. Thank you for having me. Excited to be here.
Yeah, no, I'm stoked. So, you've got a very successful real estate business, a real estate team now in Atlanta. But before we get into really what you're doing today and what you're doing to continue to create that growth and that success, I'm always really interested in our guests journey that led them here in the first place. So like if you rewind the clock, so it looks like, sometimes our entrepreneur, fire starts in like junior high, high school, college. Like what got you into entrepreneurship and then led you into the real estate space in the first place?
So as a kid, I loved horses. I rode horses. And that's kind of where I learned about that bug, because the horses is it's an expensive sport to be in. And if you're going to, everything I do, my mom always said, you're all or nothing. So in horses, I was all in, but to be able to be all in, you had to have a lot of money. So in that industry, I learned how to train horses. I learned how to get business. I learned how to pick up rides and ride horses. And I just got creative in how to ride and be competitive and be successful. Well, that leads on years, and I've become a horse trainer, and I figure out that the money's not, you see a lot of money, but the money's not in the horses, and you get old. And for me personally, you get older, you want to spend, you kind of, your eye gets opened up to it. There's a lot of money in horses and a lot of wealth in horses. So you're kind of like, wow, look at all the cool lifestyles out there. I could live one of those. And then at the other end of that with the horses, I wasn't sure that was what I wanted to do forever. So that was kind of, the entrepreneur was in me. And then I married the wrong person. And then I got involved. I just made lots of terrible decisions in life. And woke up one day and I was like, I can't keep living like this. I've got to figure this out. And really, real estate was one of those things where there's no money to get in, or not much money to get in. It's laid out for you. It just kind of presented itself to me, and I went in it in a state of, this is just what I got to do, because I've got to make, I don't want to live a life of mediocrity. I need to make money fast. And I really got in it for the money. And then once I got into it, then I got the bug, and I really learned to love it. And I was in a position where you had no choice but to make it. And oftentimes that's the best position to be in, to be successful. So I got into real estate. And to elaborate on that, when I got in the business, so first of all, I had been, but I had been married, been divorced. I didn't have a car. I had a maxed out credit card. I was a mess. I mean, I had some connections, but even my best friends, I was like 26. My best friends who were in $100,000 condos, they loved me, but I wasn't really their first choice of an agent because I had no experience. I wasn't in a good situation. Then the connections I might have had through family, they certainly, it's just that using the people I knew and that sphere of influence was not an option for me. So I figured out, I knew horses, I knew land, I knew landowners. I met builders, I met developers, and I learned about, it was kind of like my weakness became my strength. I was in a position where, no money, no clothes, maxed out credit card, waiting tables, renting a car by the day. Day by day, I'd get just a little bit further. But because of that situation, I figured out I could work with builders and make a lot more money. And I would find land deals for them, and we would flip them. And then that put me in the position to sell houses that were big and expensive, instead of going through the other path that a lot of us would go through of starting out with the smaller houses and the condos. So that's really my career and how I got into it. And one thing led to another. And now I am, the mom with the connections and a member of the country club and all that. So that has just kept the momentum going of my business. And I've learned, I have so many stories about learning about, you get into this business and you kind of get a backbone because you learn about people. You've got to know people and understand people to be successful and to be able to help them. And you've got to also learn, it's like I got in it just for the money. And then that doesn't last very long. You got to get in it because of what it does for people and does for you. And there's got to be fulfillment in anything you do to be successful. And that's the quickest version I can give you of me getting in the business.
Yeah, no, I love it. So at what point, because we've had similar paths, but all, how we've created our success has been, definitely different in the industry. But I was kind of the same way. I got into this business just to raise some capital for something else. It's supposed to be a stepping stone. And then, just like you, I just absolutely fell in love with and became obsessed about real estate.
Yeah.
When you fell in love and became, obsessed, or whatever word that you want to use with it, was that kind of once you discovered this new path of like, hey, my real passion is horses, and I can still be in that just in a different seat, you know, as a realtor, I mean, is that like connecting those dots? Is that when you started loving it? At what point did you discover that, man, this is not just some stepping stone. This is going to be it for me for life, for my career?
Oh, I don't know if I ever did. I think it just happened. I like, you just keep doing it. You just keep getting better. Probably when that happened was in the recession in 2008, 2009, when I was kind of doing it and I was making a lot of money and I wasn't thinking about it. It was just fun to make money and fun to find deals. And then the recession hit, and then you start figuring out, then you start really thinking about, is this really what I want to do? And then you start looking at options and you're like, wait, everything I like about what any other job I could do, I like better about this. I like the fact that in this business, you can figure out what you're really good at, and you have the ability to leverage everything else. You figure out what you really love about the business and how your personality and your talents fit into it. And then you leverage the stuff that you're not good at. And that actually, this business gives you the opportunity to do that. And then actually makes you an even better real estate agent or business run. I'm, as much as I like to be a business person, I sell a lot of real estate, but I'm really at that level of, I'm still a real estate agent selling real estate, but in that position and going out there and showing houses and going on listing presentations, but being in that position, I love that part of it. But that was when, to answer your question, it was the recession when I really started looking at my options, and it always came back to this. And every time I thought I hated something about my job, which is easy to do in a recession, I would figure out how to reinvent myself so that I was leveraging my strengths. And that was, I got the bug in the beginning because the money was good, but then through the hardships of it, then you start helping out people like through short sales who are in really tough positions. And you start really, you're like, wait, because in our business, I feel like a lot of our training and our focus is on just how many deals and how many listings and what's your average price and blah, blah, blah. But then you go through something like that and people start crying to you and thanking you and needing you. And there's that fulfillment component of like, people really need me. Like, this is a game, but in a sport, but it's also like, there's a reason why we are in this business and why we do this besides to make money, because people need us, and we make a big difference in people's lives on so many levels.
Yeah, I mean, the impact is insane. You know, when you really break it down, when you look at just out of one real estate transaction, all the people that it impacts, not just us and our clients, but title, lenders, I mean, utility companies, movers, furniture companies. I mean, I don't know if anybody's ever calculated how many average lives it touches, but it's got to be one sale has 20 plus impacts. It becomes huge. So,
well, I mean, our whole economy is often based on what the housing industry is doing alone. So when you just think about that and think about the fact that we affect that, and as real estate agents, the more and more I do this business, the more and more I realize how, whether it's emotional or financial or whatever, or all of the above, there's so much that we bring to people so that they can make the right decisions. And, I've heard one of my favorite things I've heard real estate agents say is they talk about, I've got a great CMA, but who can say you have the best CMA? Or how do you know? But the one thing you got to be the best at that makes you the best real estate agent is the ability to put your clients before yourself, and the ability to understand what they need and communicate that, help them discover that for themselves and make the wisest, the best decisions. Because for a lot of people, it's the biggest investment they ever make. And even for the ones it's not, it's the foundation of your life. I mean, your home is your life and who you are. And if you don't have the right home and the right foundation, there's physical, mental, spiritual, and in your physical world, your home and where everything is has so much impact on your lifestyle and everything else. So being good at what you do for your clients, I just didn't get that for the longest time. And horses, I'd help with these people ride. I'd get these kids self-actualize, and they become these great riders after everybody told them they couldn't be. And stepping into real estate for so long, it seemed like it was about the money. And then it took me a little longer. I was a little slow learner on it, but I'm in this place now where you realize it's so much bigger than that. And for me, it makes it such a fulfilling thing to do.
Yep, love it. So going back to those first few years, right? I mean, the statistic is 90% of realtors fail in the first 3 years. Right. And, but you were able to connect those dots, and you were in a very tough time. And a lot of times when we're in those tough times,
you know, it's kind of hard to really analyze our business, because we are so emotional and other things are happening. So, I mean, how did you connect those dots and not just keep pounding the pavement with hitting your SOI and hitting FSBOs and hitting expires? Like, how did you, or at what point did you connect the dots to say, hey, here's what I did in the past that I was good at, here's these strengths, and start attacking, aligning those things and going after those horse properties, and I mean, how did that all come about?
Well, actually, I don't even do the horse properties. I got into it to do the horse properties, and then I realized that sphere, it just I was young, and it just, for whatever reason, it didn't work out. But being young, I mean, for me, it was I don't know if I'm answering your question or not, but for me in the beginning, it was just doing everything, asking for referrals, sending out what postcards I could get out, making phone calls. And for me, it was just doing everything that you're supposed to do. And in doing everything you're supposed to do and being open-minded, the right opportunities were the ones that kept happening. But you got to get it. Something that took me a minute to learn was, like, you don't just get up and call yourself a real estate agent. You got to get up, you got to do the work every day. You got to make your calls, you got to prospect. You've got to, and when you're new, you don't know your value necessarily. But I was just open to it. And another thing was, probably what helped me figure it out was understanding that everything I was doing was about learning. It's, I'm doing this not, I was doing it for the money, but to be good at anything, to be successful at anything, you've got to be good at it and competent. So, for example, I would just call every for sale by owner sign I saw. I would just post for a while. One of my best clients, who's my client to this day, was on one of those calls. It was snowing and I couldn't drive to the gym. So I'm walking to the gym and I noticed a new for sale by owner sign. I pick up the phone and I call, and it's this lady who's older, who owns a house. And I would just ask questions. I mean, like, really, like, for me, feel like I was 27 and I was number 2 in the office. And everybody's like, how do you do it? And I'm like, yeah, ask questions. Just ask. It's not about, they don't care about you. They don't want to hear you talk. They want to be heard. And you're not going to know what they need if you don't ask them questions. So this one I called and I was like, well, how much is it? Well, why did y'all price it that way? Well, what are y'all trying to do? And I just asked questions. Well, she was the investor owner. She introduced me to her builder, who then I got on the phone with again and asked more questions. And then he wanted to meet with me and talk to me about, because I had so many questions to ask and I was asking I had known enough by then. So then I had the time, and we started scoping out land and plotting it and figuring out if this land is zoned this and this size, it's worth pursuing for this price. And I would just go, and at that time we didn't have the technology. This is 15 years ago. So I was like printing maps out and taping them together and then picking out which properties so it took a lot more time than it does now. And then I would go find these guys and sell it. I don't even know if I answered your question, but that was as far as the tipping point of figuring it out. Now on the really being more fulfilling component of it, that part that really happened in the recession and helping people out and just figuring out what are these, just really getting those thank yous after a while and realizing how our business is not rocket science. It's not complicated, but the emotions that go behind it. And then people don't know the thing, like, we know all these things about real estate because we see it every day. Most people don't get the opportunity to see houses every day and see real estate every day and understand how transactions can go and do all those things that we can do, that we can help guide them help them make right decisions and avoid problems that they would otherwise have.
Couldn't agree more, dude. So, all right. So 27 years old, you very quickly become number 2 in the office. And the reason I want to ask this question is because, so many people, and I know I used to kind of be guilty of this too. I'd see these top producers like you, and I'm here new, and I'm struggling, and I would almost get to the point where I'm like, man, these guys got to have something different, than I have, right? Like whatever it may be. And then you discover that's not the truth. They're just people that were willing to push and outfail and never give up at a higher level. And that's what allowed them to become a top producer. So you said something like, in the beginning, you were waiting tables, you had to rent cars for the day. Kind of walk us through that first year or so. To getting to that point where you're number 2 in the office. Just so, again, because a lot of times we talk so much about our successes, but we don't really, a lot of people don't always hear about those tough times that you had to go through and stick with it. They only see what you're doing today. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So
What you at?
yeah, so what was that like? Like, kind of walk us through like that first year or so of, because like I said, you mentioned that, okay, I'm here trying to sell real estate, but at the time I'm still waiting tables on the side. I don't even have a car, so I'm having to rent a car for the day with clients, and you know, right? I mean, it's pretty gnarly stuff and the reason I want to ask is I don't believe that most realtors or most entrepreneurs fail because of lack of information or lack of capital. It's just lack of action, right?
It's just action and persistence. I think for me it was, and I find even now, I think like as successful as we get, we forget how far we've gotten. But I think it's like, for me, I'd gotten into such a bad place. Like I had nothing that I had to the first thing I had to do was just make a decision on, I can either sit here and mope about it and feel sorry for myself that I did all these stupid things. Well, first of all, you can't blame anybody. I mean, I could spin the story and make it everybody's fault. And the first thing I said was, lots of bad decisions. This is an education, an expensive one. And then from that, it was going, you know what? Because I had horses growing up. I mean, I didn't have as much money. I mean, I'd had a nice life. Now it's like I had nothing. I mean, like hardly had a pair of shoes. I can remember getting a job, waiting tables, and I had to walk because I'd been in another country and come back. I'd been in England and come back, and I'm like walking from bar to bar to get a job to wait tables. And then I get a job, and then I go and I spend $40 that I had to buy the black pants and the white shirt to go wait tables. I mean, that's where I was. But in that state, like that sounds so sad and pitiful and whatever, but it was just a matter of going, you know what? I did something stupid, and I can look at the world and talk about all these things I don't have. But it really, like, I just remember I got in the state of mind where I was like, I am where I am. And I don't even know if I have words for it, but it's kind of like you have to be lost to be found. I was just like, I had never experienced regret my whole life. I finally experienced regret. And then I just was like, I came to this place of gratitude, really. As I just came to this place of I'm healthy, I'm alive, I'm smart, I'm capable, and I'm going to go get these ugly black pants and this ugly button-up white shirt, and I'm going to go wait some tables, and I'm just going to I'm just going to do it one step at a time. And it was being grateful for having a family and being grateful for even though I had done every stupid thing I could do and maxed out a credit card and had no money, I still had so much abundance around me. And I think it was just shifting my state of mind to that and then just doing what you got to do. And I can remember quickly, you just do it one step at a time. You go in, you go to the training, you listen to what people say, you just do it. You just go through the steps, and you just, instead of staying in bed and being sad or whatever people do, you just one step at a time. And every mistake you make, you find the lesson in what it was so that you learn more and you get better. Like every time, no matter how successful people are, they lose listings, they lose clients. Every time I lose a listing or a client or in that state, every time something went wrong, it was what did I get out of this? And even in that state, when I had made so many bad decisions, it was, thank goodness I went through this in my 20s, and look at what I know as a result of it, and look at where I am, and look at how much further I'm going to get. I mean, I wasn't totally positive the whole time, but that was the general frame of mind I've maintained to just move forward and just do it. But yeah, I mean, getting in. So on the rental car thing, I waited tables, rented a car by the day, and then I actually got a horse job again, because that was the easiest job I could get until I made enough money to sustain myself to be able to. I rode horses in the afternoons and in the mornings, and at night I worked on real estate. Once I got in, I mean, so it probably took me, in hindsight, I can't believe how fast it was. It's probably 6 months to a year to really get going in the real estate. And then within 2 years, I was making my gross income, or my gross commission was like $240,000, $250,000. Just to give you an example of where I went, which is what's so great about this business. Like, how do you do that's? But that's why I did it. I'm not always patient. I don't want to wait around. And corporate jobs are not for me, because I still can't reason with bureaucracy and the way they make decisions and do things. So, that's what I did.
So you talked about, so while all this is going on, I mean, you talked about, okay, I started hitting up my friends and my sphere of influence, but they didn't really have faith in my ability yet. So then you started calling these for sale by owners, which then it sounds like led to some of your builder clients. I mean, was there anything, I mean, at that time, were you just like laser focused on for sale by owners, or were there other tactics that were working really well for you at the time too?
God, man, it's such a good question because it's been so long. It was I can't even remember what I was listing anymore. Because the thing that was really the most fun was the builders and the lots and the selling. Like every time there was a builder to talk to, I would just go sit down and just pick their brain, and they loved it, which I wasn't doing it because I loved it. I was doing it to learn. So it got clients for me. But, I don't like, as far as how I got business, it was, I got to think about this. I remember calling every FSBO, calling everybody I knew, calling people I knew that I knew. I haven't thought about it in so long. It was, it was really just, and in the end, it was those land deals that taught me so much, that gave me that experience, that as I would, and I did a lot of networking. It was really meeting new people, that as I met new people, just by the nature of doing that kind of business, I knew more than most real estate agents, because most real estate agents don't deal with zoning and setbacks and variances and all of those things that you deal with. And I had the time, I'd actually go and meet with the head of development to talk to them about if we could split a lot or do things with it. So just by nature of the fact that I had so much understanding of real estate from that end, that, I did lots of emails, but everything was just every day for 3 or so hours a day, just sending emails. I would do e-blasts. I would do one email at a time. I would make the phone calls. I would ask for referrals. I would call the builders. And I would also spend a lot of time on finding these land deals and writing letters to these land deals and calling these landowners. And it was through those people that they were seeing how hard I was working, that they would then refer me to somebody else that they knew that might need to sell a house. And that's really where it took off. But I think the passion and investment I had in that land, the land, and it was houses and whatever, that was really the impetus for me of connecting with more people and generating more business and more referrals and bringing more business and just getting it just got going. You pick up, you're writing people letters. Do you want to sell your property? Well, they don't want to sell it to my client, but they want to sell it. So now you've got a listing. Or they don't want to sell it at all, but they like you and they like the way you were so respectful when you called and asked, and you asked them for a referral and then they give you one. So that was how it's just every day doing it, just consistent, persistent work and databases and keeping up with who's who and writing, and just, the same thing we all do.
Yeah, it's one of those things where, like, if you get the top 100 residential realtors on the planet and all lined them up, they all probably have a different lead generation strategy, but the one thing they all have in common is that consistency. It's really the only magic pill that exists, right?
It's just being consistent, being persistent. And the other thing I do think too, though, is I think the agents that last the longest are those agents that really know how to communicate with their clients and communicate. This is knowing your market, it's being competent, knowing your market. But you can do all those things if you don't take action and give persistence and be consistent, and it doesn't matter. None of the other stuff matters. You can be as smart as you want to be, but if you're not willing to go out there every day and do, make the calls, do the prospecting, and know your stuff, it's not going to happen.
So I know that you mentioned your first builder client, I don't want to say you stumbled. I mean, you took across them, you took action to call FSBO that led to that relationship. But then after that one, because the question I get all the time is, hey Josh, how do I get in with these builders? And I've been in with a few, but it's never been like a niche of mine. So, we talk about, that then I learned, hey, builders are really what I want to focus on, land development and with builders. How do you identify new builders? How do you get that sit-down meeting? And then I know you talked a lot about asking questions out of curiosity, but then how do you lead that relationship from there into getting that business? Which I know I just hit you with a lot of questions.
I love that question. I think in anything, the agenda, the first frame of mind to come from is not how am I going to get the business, but what do they need? What do first of all, who are, like in anything, who are they? What do they need? And I don't do as much. I love working with builders, but I don't do as much of it anymore. But when I was, is what are they looking for? What do they need? What is their value, and how can I find it? Like the first builder was there was a certain part of Atlanta that he wanted real estate in. I was willing to invest the time and do it. But when you say like, how do I get my foot in the door? You look at your market and you go, I mean, like if I like starting today, you look at your market and you say, okay, what's going on? What, like in Atlanta, for example, there are a lot of houses for over $1 million. There's an influx. There's arguably too many of them. Then there are a lot of buyers that need a $500,000 home. Well, there's not a lot of $500,000 homes, but now there's this whole area of Atlanta where they're starting to build, and the lots are still inexpensive, and they're starting to build $500,000 homes, and a lot of people don't know about that area. So this is just one example of how, like if I were today, study your market, where do you want to be? Well, in this, you just go. First of all, you've got to have something. You can't just go to the builder and say, hey, I'm great, I'm awesome, I work hard, aren't you going to hire me among thousands of other real estate agents that tell you the same thing? It's like lenders, what do they come and tell us? Every lender comes and tells me that they've got great rates and they'll do the best job of anybody. Well, why? What do you have? We've got great rates. Well, for who? What do you like? Even if I love you, what am I going to tell my client that they're going to like? So you've got to do the same thing for the builder. So builder comes and says, hey, I'm looking for some properties. And I'll say, well, what kind of money are you looking to invest? Where's your money coming from? What kind of price point? Who are your builders? What's your structure? What do you have going on? And when you understand their goals and what they're looking for, then you can go, okay, here's what is ideal for you. You know, it's if you need this many properties, then you go find them and you put them together and bring it to him. Or you go and you look at the market, for example, what I said, and you're like, okay, this part of Atlanta has an influx of properties that could be rehabbed or houses that could be torn down and rebuilt. You go talk to all of those landowners or all of those property owners. You create an assemblage. Now you've got something of huge value that no one else has access to. And you go talk to all the other builders and you start developing relationships. And once you start bringing deals to them, they will start bringing deals, especially if you get a good builder that's been in the business and understands it. They're just going to start bringing deals back to you. But the mindset is not what do I say and what is the trick and what is the, what is the pitch and what is the this and what is the that, is what is the value. And every builder needs something different. So, on the me part, well, what kind of business do I want to do? What do I think I'm best at or whatever? And then you go, okay, what builder needs that? Now, what do I have? I'm repeating myself at this point, but it's just value, value, value. Figure out the value in what you offer and what they need and provide it. And if you can provide it in a manner that you've got something nobody else does, you're done. You got the deal.
Yep. Love it. So then though, how do you, because it's not like you can pull up the phone book and like look for a section of builder developers, right? So how do you identify them and develop that initial connection with them so then you can get to the step that you just talked about?
Maybe I've been in the business too long, because to me, it's like they're just there. Really, it's just if you're in a market, like if you decide I'm going to do Virginia Highlands, really, you drive around and you see who's building. You can also go talk to if it's the city of Atlanta or whatever city you're in, and see who's applying for building permits and see where they're applying for building permits. That's a simple way to do it. But usually builders aren't a secret. Usually it's pretty easy to figure out who's building. Another thing to do is if you Google them, get on the internet and Google who the builders are. And a lot of these guys, now the smaller builders, they may not show up, but the bigger ones will. Really, that's it. Another avenue might be to go in and say, you could get a referral from an agent who's got, like, let's say you got an agent who's represents a lot of bank-owned properties, and they are contacting and talking to builders every day, but they're not necessarily representing the builders because they're too busy representing the bank or too busy representing the land transactions. You get a referral to the builder. You could do that. And when you're out there networking and meeting people every day, they really do just come to you. And another thing is going to, say, mortgage brokers and seeing who these, mortgage brokers or loan officers or whatever, or who are these guys working with and what do they know their builders are looking for, and getting an introduction. But it's always, for me, we've got so many real estate agents in our industry. We've got to just come from a position of not just, hey, I want to meet you and have a cup of coffee, but have an understanding of what people need and have, in whatever angle or way it is, have a way to deliver it.
Yeah, love it. So, okay, so you're growing this business. You know, you're obviously creating a lot of success. I know today you have a team. I mean, at what point in your career did you hit that point where you're like, man, I need to start this team, and then, kind of walk us through what your structure has been since?
Oh yeah, that may not be a good question for me because so I got into this business and I've had a couple of small teams. They went pretty well. And then since the recession, I've just gone on my own. And just recently I have kind of assembled, I mean, like in January 2017, I am a team. I've got a listing coordinator who handles all my listings. I've got a closing coordinator who's handling all my closings. And then I've got a agent on my team, Robert Barstow, who is incredibly talented, who helps me with, he has his own business, but I help, I mentor him on transactions if he needs help on a transaction or has questions. And then he helps me if I need help showing or I'm ever, inundated, or I've got a buyer that needs to see a lot of properties or things like that. He steps in and takes care of that. And for me, that's what I've got for a team. So it's 4. And then I've also got Morgan, who does a lot of the behind the scenes marketing graphics. And I've also got I've got a few more people that are doing social media behind the scenes and graphics and things like that. So on the team thing, I need to ask you that because I'm still figuring that out, but it's having the administrative support behind me and then having another agent to work with. So I'm giving him business and helping him with business, and he's helping me with the existing business I have right now. And that's the extent of it. I think in the long term, and everybody has a different model. I have found, and I think you've done the same thing, that bringing on team members who can really, to have a sustainable team and a good team, you've got to put them in a position where they can really go at whatever capacity they want, where you're not limiting to them to being, and I know there are a lot of people who will cringe when I say this, but you're not limiting them just to being a buyer's agent, because all of a sudden now there are all these opportunities that they're not allowed to have and tap into. But it's creating a team where, they're getting the credit and they're getting the opportunity to really reach their potential, whereas they may not feel that way in some other structured teams. I know a lot of people don't agree with that strategy, but that's where I am on it. So, and in mine, I'm evolving into, I'm still going to do a lot of transactions. I'm still a real estate agent, but really be in a position of mentoring other agents and using them to support me and my mentorship to support them, to just make us all the stronger, more powerful as a team of agents working together. And then having the behind the scenes administration and support and all that good stuff.
Yeah, love it. Yeah, and I couldn't agree more. I get, it's one of these things where there's so many ways to create success. I mean, there's not really one way, but my experience has been kind of the same philosophy that you have, or I've adopted the same philosophy now of man, it just, when it just, every time that we had it segmented with just buyer's agents, just listing agents, it just jacked up our culture, right? For a lot of different reasons. And so now we just keep our agents, hey, you just got to learn to be brilliant at the appointment with buyers and sellers. And same thing with that support staff. And that's what's works best.
Think about this, but I felt it seems like it's just like what's important is that people are their best selves. And if you're going to limit, if you can have everybody in your team really being their best selves, then you're going to have a good team. Or, and for me, the concept of buyer's agent versus listing agent, it's like, well, I used to be a listing agent. When I was new, believe it or not, I almost want to take a course for myself 15 years ago, how I got in this business and only did listings. Like, I worked with builders and only listed. And if there was a buyer, I referred it out or had a buyer's agent. And then as I creeped up in price point, to understand the market in these more expensive listings and understand how to represent your seller, you have to have the buyer's perspective. And the only real way to get it is to represent the buyers, and vice versa. So I don't know what your thoughts are on that, but that's where I am on in my business and what's made me be able to do the best job for my clients.
Time out. Joshua Smith here at GSD Studios. I need to take a quick pause to give our sponsors a quick shout out that make all this possible. Our first sponsor is my personal 90-day mastery bootcamp. This is my personal mentorship training program where I give you everything I do inside my business. You get my entire playbook. We have 12 live 3+ hour long sessions, in addition to a ton of different bonus content. You get daily access to me. There's nothing I withhold from you guys inside this program. You get my entire playbook that's helped me sell thousands and thousands and thousands of homes. You get all my tracking forms, presentations, scripts, checklists, team contracts. There's nothing you don't get access to. This is hands down the most effective and affordable real estate training program on the planet. So make sure you check us out at www.90daymastery.com. You can check out boot camp dates. You can check out testimonials, more in-depth information. If you decide to register, make sure to enter live mastery, all caps, all one word, all together. That'll save you 500 bones. So you can get the whole entire program for only $997 or 3 payments of $333. Our next sponsor is PerfectStormNow.com. PerfectStormNow.com is an insanely effective lead generation website for realtors and now offers a website and CRM combo with all my custom personal follow-up drips inside there, some of which go out 1,000 plus days. We've made it where this is dummy proof, you guys. Any type of a lead generation tactic you can think of, from expireds, FSBO, sign calls, open houses, past clients, everything is in there. It's a plug and play system. And this system really is as powerful, if not more powerful in my opinion. I'm a little biased, but as powerful as the $1,000 a month programs out there, and it's only $199 per month. So again, check us out, www.perfectstormnow.com. Our third sponsor is EMF. Optimized Life Nutrition has created the most powerful nootropic on the planet called EMF. EMF stands for Energy, Memory, Focus. So if you're like me and you want to have insane energy, improved memory, and extreme intense focus, this is the best product money can buy. I take it every single day and the results are insane. I've massively improved energy, memory, focus, mood, awareness, and like you've heard me say in the past, we've had clients that even say it enhances sex. We've had talked to people that have reduced anxiety. The supplement is insane. Check us out. Learn more at www.optimizedlifenutrition.com. Lastly, if you're like myself and our whole entire crew here at GSD Studios and my real estate team, make sure you check out our apparel line, right? We got t-shirts, men's t-shirts, women's t-shirts. We got our hat line that if you're watching this might be available at this point. The hats are in production right now. We're going to be adding a lot of different apparel. So make sure to check that out. And then also, if you're not already, make sure to jump into the GSD Mode Facebook private group. For example, inside there, you guys, we post all of our interviews to make sure that you're not missing out on any interviews. We're going to be doing some votes for future apparel, some Facebook Live stuff. So it's a free private mastermind that you can jump in to go out there, learn, grow, and continue kicking ass and succeeding. All right, that's enough of the interruptions. Let's get back to the show.
Yeah. No, I agree. I mean, the buy side, of course, is where you get that experience. You're in the trenches with every aspect of it, and then too, I just found too, it becomes that handoff, right? So let's just say I've got this listing, they want to list with me, and we get their house under contract. Then it's like, okay, well now here's Joe, who we're going to be working with to go find you the next time. I'm like, well, wait a minute, I thought you were my agent, and
I thought you loved me. Where did you go?
Right? Yeah. But like I said, I know so many agents that also have a lot of success with it, so I don't know if there's ever a right or wrong way. It's just what's right for you and your culture, so.
And that exactly. So I love to talk, I love to constantly talk to agents and figure out how they do it and what they're doing. And, maybe it's just the way you structure your team or whatever, but that's definitely the way that I find I do best and the agents with me do best. So.
Yep. So then if we fast forward then to, your current business, right? Because your business is so expanding, you're expanding your team, you've been voted the, best realtor in Atlanta and all of that. And I don't know if you found truth to this in your own business too, but man, these extreme sellers markets, at least for me in my observation, always seem to be the hardest markets to succeed in. It's like I'll make way more money in a neutral market or a depressed market than, it's hard to get listings. Every listing you have has multiple offers, so it's hard to work with your buyers. What have you done in this last market takeoff, this extreme sellers market, to continue creating success and continue growing your business?
For me, I've actually been representing more sellers this year. Last year, I probably represented more buyers. But is your question in the capacity of winning business or making the deal work?
Well, let's hit on both, right? Because they're both just a massive challenge.
Yeah, and I think on on the listing component, for me, what I've done is I've continued to develop I'm all about relationships, develop relationships. And you hear people talk about, I only do business on referral. I'm kind of one of those people. But on the other end of that, you get referral after referral. But as the market, I think part of the challenge of these strong markets is everybody starts to get their real estate license, and you start to get a lot of competition. And how are you going to stand out? And remembering that people hire you oftentimes before they meet you. They've decided whether or not they're going to hire you. You just got to show up and not screw it up. And so really for me, it's getting, having the best website, having the best videos, doing the aerial shots of the videos, having the best photographs, and then having that online presence where you're online, you're engaged online, people see you online, so that your friends remember. I don't necessarily, I get business that way, but I really get business because my friends who know me see it and they refer me. And then when you see what I'm doing online for my listings and my properties, and we do sell properties through that, but as far as the really getting the hire, it's when people see that, then they're going to hire you because there's not many people doing that. It's figuring out what you can do that nobody else is doing as far as getting the listing or getting the hire. What are you doing? Are you communicating every week? Do you really know what's going on in the market? If you could be the most competent, be the best marketer, and be the best in front of them and able to communicate, be yourself, and be honest and be authentic, and all those things that everybody wants out of a real estate agent, that and just doing it, like we said back, is doing that consistently. In this market, I feel like that's what it is. Now, on the other thing is the challenge in this market is that, or the challenge I find is that the pricing component is everybody gets an inflated idea because you're hearing all of this. I remember when the recession was over, like in 2010, everybody thought we still were in a recession. I'm like, there's multiple offers everywhere, and everybody's like talking about how horrible times are. Times are great. Nobody knows it. So now I'm the hero because everybody's expectations are different. And then the market picks up and expectations are suddenly, my house is worth $200,000 more than what the comparable sold for last week. And so then it's a matter of being able to really provide that data and know the data, know the numbers, be honest with the clients. And sometimes you lose the business. I just left an appointment a few minutes ago that I didn't win a year ago because I gave them the honest data and they didn't like it. But guess what? Now a year later, they're hiring me because of that. So a lot of it is just persistent, consistent, doing a good job and whatever. And it is. As far as trying to, to answer your question, what do you do? It's back to consistent, be persistent, know your stuff, be a good agent, be honest, know that don't be afraid of the truth. Don't be afraid to express it, because in the long run, that's why they appreciate it. A great example for me, I'm sure everybody knows who Tony Robbins is. And I watched that guy and I'm like, how does he do it? Like, how does he get these people to get on stage in front of 7,000 people and admit that they want to kill themselves? And I don't mean that to be cynical. I mean that to say, really, how does he do it? And what I've noticed about him, and I think about, and even in our business, is he's not afraid of the truth. He's not afraid. All he's looking for is the truth. And when all we're doing with our clients, we're not attached to the result. We're not attached to getting the deal. We're not attached to anything, but know we got to know our data to be able to do it. But what is the truth of the situation, and knowing it and having that competence and communicating that client and not being afraid of them not hiring us because of it. Yeah, you might lose some, but you're going to win a whole lot more. You're going to sell a whole lot more. You're going to have a lot greater success, a lot more happy clients, and in the long run are going to send you a lot more clients where you almost don't, you get that reputation and that way of doing business, and the business not, like I still do my emails and my marketing, my social media, but the business will get much more consistent because you're not doing a sales pitch every time. You've got that history. Now, if you're new in the business, that's where it goes back to what we talked about earlier. But I think it's important at whatever phase you are that you remember that for long-term success.
Yep, love it. So then last year, I know that you did more buyer business, it sounds like, than you did listings, and it's kind of transitioned this year. So if we go back to last year, because your market was on fire last year, and when you're working with a lot of buyers, man, it's challenging because it can be, a dozen multiple offers. How do you Have you found any tactics that you've been implementing or implemented last year that get you guys to be in number one position and have success with that?
Yeah, I mean, I've seen offers that say things like, we'll pay $5,000 more than the highest offer. And I've seen things like, but I've had that backfire where you go and you do that and they're like, okay, we don't trust you because you're just trying to get a free dib and we're going to lose everybody else. I've really found that, I'm not dealing necessarily with that many multiple offer situations because a lot of stuff I do ends up being, and Atlanta isn't maybe as fast to market as some of these other markets. And depending on the price, like my average sales price is like, 800 to $1 million, which may not sound that high to a lot of people in a lot of markets, but in Atlanta, the average sales price is like 240. But at the same time, there's a lot of things is making the offer as clean as possible. If you don't need closing costs, don't ask for them. Don't rewrite the contract with 6 special steps just to look smart. Because be very careful about what you're putting in that. Be clean. Communicate with the listing agent. Make sure they know. Make sure you follow their instructions. And that's all basic common sense stuff. But I mean, that in educating your buyer, like your buyer comes in and you got to say, making sure you take the time to talk to the buyer and say, look, this is a multiple offer situation. Some of my clients are like, then forget it. I'll come back later. At least that's what I see in Atlanta. But if they are going to go in it, it's saying you've got to decide at what number are you going to be okay. If you get this at this number, are you going to be upset and think you paid too much? And at this number, or at what number are you going to be okay if you don't get if you come in at this number and you know that you wouldn't have paid more? It's telling them that's the decision they've got to make to know that to know whether or not they get it. And on the other end of that, as far as getting it, any of the fancy stuff in the contracts, I find that the sellers that I represent get very nervous about those. So, I don't know if I answered your question, but it's really just get a good, clean, strong offer and having a good rapport with the agent and good communication with them so that and that goes back to the reputation thing. If you're a good agent, oftentimes an agent's going to select your offer because it's clean and because they know what's coming and they know how you negotiate and they know that you're somebody they want to deal with and your buyer is somebody they want to deal with, and making sure the buyer understands that too.
Yep, love it. So then this year with your business transitioning more to listings and buyers, has that been intentional or has it just kind of happened, or is it like, hey, I've just been doing the same things, it's just transitioned to that, naturally?
Actions I've taken, I haven't consciously thought this is what I'm going to do, but actions I've taken have resulted in that. For example, amping up my marketing. When you amp up marketing, you're going to get more listings. And then bringing Robert on board, he ends up working with a lot of our buyers and they really like him. He's really good. He's from Atlanta. He's been here forever. So that also means his time is with buyers, which gives me more time with sellers, which gets me more referrals to sellers, which picks up that end of the business.
Yeah. So then when you talk about ramping up marketing, what kind of market? I know you talked about social media and being online, but are you doing any other type of marketing that you're getting results today? Any type of print marketing, or is it just straight up really online and social media today?
Print marketing I do is the print marketing that Sotheby's International Realty or Atlanta Fine Homes, which is the franchise of Sotheby's that's here in Atlanta, that they provide, which is in the biggest, whether it's the magazines, the newspapers and all of that. But as far as what I personally do is I'm on 5 social media platforms, plus I'm on Vimeo and YouTube, plus on Google Plus, Twitter. I have to count Google Plus, Twitter, LinkedIn, Facebook, and Instagram. So being on those 5 platforms, plus the YouTube, plus the Vimeo, and on Facebook, I'm on my personal page, I'm on my business page. You've got a business Facebook page. You can target market from your business page, and you can't do that from your personal page. And not everybody wants to see all your listings. They want to, on your personal page, they often want to be personal. I'll feed some of my listings over to my personal page every once in a while, but I want it to be like a treat, not like, if I have to hear Jere talk about being in real estate one more time, I'm going to throw up, kind of a thing. So, but it's doing that. It's the tagging. And in the social media, social media is powerful. I mean, you go in there and you can develop. I mean, I can't remember if that's how I got to know you, but you go in there and you know, for example, I've got I've got a podcast. I'll go tag people in the podcast and I'll talk about who they are and what they do, or I'll tag somebody in a post and I'll get their attention and then we'll be friends. Or taking these listings, I'll have a listing that's coming up and I'll talk about how great it is, and I'll go feed it to all of the other, whether it's platforms for that neighborhood or targeting to people. And you start doing all of those things and you're, for nothing, I mean, not much money at all, you're getting in front of a lot of potential clients and buyers. And when you're doing that consistently every day, that goes a lot further than any postcard campaign I could ever think of. So that's huge. Then having a website, on the website, every time I meet a new client, I'll create links. Like every time I have a buyer or a seller client or both, I'll send them a link, sell.jeremetcalf.com or buy.jeremetcalf.com. And it gives them a series of, this is back to the winning the business, not developing the business, but I'll tell you about it anyway, as a series of questions so I can really understand. A lot of times people know what they're looking for. And if I can, before the interview, see the answers to all of their questions about what's your price point, what do you want to buy, what's your lifestyle, what are you looking for, and get in their head a little bit before I talk to them, I can get a lot further with the meeting, and I can help them, but I really win the business because I'm getting them to slow down for a minute and think about what they want. And even though it's on the internet and they're just answering questions, it's on my website, and it's also feeding them to all the other marketing I'm doing for my listings, which also helps them remember to refer more listings or win the business. Because there's just so much competition in our business. It's just staying in front of them. And then videos. I mean, I do I video every single house that I list. And then on the video marketing, I'll take 10 and 15-second clips of like if you get a listing, you do all the social media stuff twice a day. You can't just slap your listing up there over and over again. That's boring. But if I take a house and I go, first coming soon, I have to say some cool things about it and what it's going to do, great. And then I'll go in and I'll say, something about the daylight and the entry and this and that. And I'll show you go through the front door. I'll just show the clip of the video for 5 seconds that goes to the front door. And then I'll say, to see the rest of the house, go to my website or call me, and I'll put my phone number. I'm just always constantly giving a new angle so that my listing doesn't look like the listing I had for 6 months. It's not just not looking like the same listing, but it's giving a fresh new look. And when people see that kind of marketing, they're like, man, I want to work with her. And then when people call you or you call them, you've got something else to talk to them. I mean, it's just like, I need to just stop and write down all the avenues that you have for marketing and connecting and winning business. Just the print marketing, yeah, it's great. But this internet stuff and this social media and the website, there are so many angles that you can take and duplicate and recreate, and so much content that you can put out for just not much financial investment in a little bit of time. And it goes, every time I pick up the phone, people talk about me and my real estate because it's in front of them constantly, and it's always different. It's always changing.
Yeah. So I hear it all the time of, social media might work, in a lower price point, but it doesn't work in the luxury price point, right? And it's like, I sit there now, I don't specialize in luxury.
That's true.
Yeah. I don't specialize in luxury real estate. However, if I just look at this from a different angle, I don't know anybody that's personal friend or mentor, whatever, that's a 7-figure plus income earner that isn't spending a lot of time on social media, right? Now, they may not have the time to get involved in some political stupid debate on social media happening, but they're on there. So I mean, you obviously you're specialized in luxury in your area, and are having huge success without this. So I just kind of want to throw it out there because it's just people have these just false belief systems.
But it is the best. Like it's like Costco. Like more billionaires go to Costco than anywhere. That doesn't matter. They're all on Facebook. Or think about like Naples. Somebody told me over half the billionaires in the world live in Naples. I don't know that that's. Somebody else told me the other day that's actually not the case, but whatever it is, a lot of people with a lot of money live in Naples. There are 7 or 8 Walmarts in Naples alone, because there's this perception that Walmart or Facebook or whatever isn't for the affluent. And not in Walmart, you're not selling luxury goods. So of course that's not the point, but they're on Facebook. When you're on Facebook, if you get it in front of them and you get your name in front of them and you do it in a beautiful quality way, they're, you know, and if you don't have the money, there are other very clever ways to put it out there. And you can take a snapshot of a big, beautiful backyard of a listing, and it doesn't have to be yours. And you can talk about who, you know, there's so many angles you can take on taking a picture of a pool and then tagging it and talking about this listing's coming on the market, get the agent's permission, or if they don't have an agent yet, you know, get the seller's permission, or there's just so many angles that you can do. And it's just getting yourself that, just that consistent, when people see it over, and it's so easy. Like I remember when I got in the business, I just send one postcard out a week for like 12 weeks for somebody to remember me. Well, now you can get on social media and get and target whoever you want and get in front of them every day, and they'll remember who you are. So for a lot less money and a lot quicker amount of time.
Yep, love it. So I'm just going to transition gears here, you know, because I mean, you've got this growing real estate business. You know, you've got a family, you know, you've got a podcast that you're growing. You got all this stuff going on. And I don't really like the word balance, because I don't know if there really is such a thing as balance. But
I was going to say, this is a bad question for me.
Yeah, well, I mean, but at the same point, though, I mean, what do you do intentionally with your planning to ensure that, okay, hey, I'm not dropping the ball and sacrificing my health or my family to grow this? Because we see, you know, entrepreneurs kind of live in the extremes, you know, right? It's like, hey, I go out there and grow this great real estate company, but I let my health and my family go, and vice versa. So, like, what do you kind of do to try to make sure you're not dropping the ball in one of those areas?
I mean, you just like working out, for example, you just schedule it and you just do it. And it's kind of like, you know, I mean, call me crazy, but nobody doesn't have time to go to the bathroom. You know, you have to do it. There's certain things in your life you treat that way. Working out, you treat it that way. Eating a certain way, you treat it that way. There's certain things like, you know, that I don't eat, because to me, they're, in my mind at this point in my life, they're not even food. They're not nourishing me. They're not good for me. It's a habit. It's about establishing habits. You know, it's a habit to get up and work out. It's a habit to eat certain foods. You know, it's a habit to not be hungry. Don't let yourself, it's just implementing habits. And then as far as like the family and the real estate, I find a lot of mine, which I'm not the greatest example because I do work a lot. And I'm working on fixing that. But in the meantime, it's such a fun business that it's like you're always with people. You're always enjoying people. If you want to spend more time with your kids, figure out how to spend time with your kids and not directly and annoyingly prospect their parents. And that's where the social media comes into place, because you're with them. You got the kids on, you know, if some people don't like to put their kids on Facebook, so don't do that. But if you do, you've got pictures on Facebook, then you've got a way to not aggressively let them see what you do. They see your real estate. And then you're there at a soccer game or whatever. It's going to come up in conversation. It always does. And now you're trusted because you're a parent. This is like, there's so many other angles, but I'm a mom, so that's what I'm thinking of. And I actually don't do this. I should. I don't even tap into my kids' friends' parents at all. But it's one way that I think, why don't I do that? Because I could spend more time with my kids and other kids and still do great business. But it's just a matter of I think it's just, your business and your life can become one and the same. Maybe that sounds like not balancing, but for me, and you just have to love what you do. You just got to realize, and if you hate what you do, you probably shouldn't be doing it anyway. Or like I did, I repositioned what I did so I was utilizing my talents and enjoying it and more fulfilled in it.
Yeah, love it. Yeah, well, and I agree. I mean, it's this whole work-life balance. It's like it's all life. So just learn how to integrate it. And you know, when people are seeking balance, man, it's like you're just adding another task to your plate, an already busy plate. You know, and you know, just literally like I've got a client of mine that's a newer realtor, but she's already sold 4 homes this year from just buying like these T-shirts that say, "I'm a realtor, ask me for my card," and she just from bringing her kids to school.
Awesome.
You know, right? And that's just like 4 clients from just dropping her kids off at school wearing shirts like that. You know, just little things, man.
She didn't have to talk. She didn't have to ask anybody. She's the first teacher. t-shirt and show up.
Yeah, well, now you even see him like the gym pants, like the yoga pants for girls, and I mean, it's just like, dude, you're a walking, talking billboard.
She's got a whole new business there. Like she's go and create a website and then like sell her t-shirt. I mean, that's brilliant. I love it.
Yeah, awesome. So let's talk about your podcast, because I know it's I don't know how long you've been doing it, but I know it's growing very fast, and you've had some epic guests on there, and I know our audience could gain a lot of value out of it. So what is your podcast? How long have you started? Just kind of give us some information about it.
So I've probably, this is funny, I don't even know. I think I've had about 12 guests on it. Do you want me to talk about the guests, or it's, Jack Cotton's been on it, Thomas Wright, you've been on it, or you're about to be on it. You were the best, by the way. Love everything you had to say. But it's just a great podcast. It's speaking to real estate agents. I have a lot of clients who are entrepreneurs and business owners who listen to it because they're like, this is the best advice ever just for business. I just love to hear this stuff. But it's two things. A lot of agents getting into the business like to listen to it. There's a lot of agents who are listening to it who, it's very much like you. It's your podcast. You're at the next level. You've got it figured out. But anyway, it's just, listening to ideas to get to the next level. A lot of it is focused. A lot of it is luxury real estate. A lot of these agents are luxury agents. Not all of them, but a lot of them are at Sotheby's International Realty. I think you've interviewed Ben Bacall already, haven't you? I think you're going to. Anyway, but Ben Bacall has been on, who's got the $250 million listing in LA. I'm 99.9% sure you're lined up with him. And it's just a great, fun website. But to go to the website, it's the easiest thing to do. It's at podcast.jeremetcalf.com, but really itunes.jeremetcalf, JEREMETCAL. Oh gosh, I got to slow down. JEREMETCALF.com is, on your phone, itunes.jeremetcalf.com, plug it in your car, listen to it. It's a fun website. Or not website, podcast. We've got a website for it too, though. I'm beyond excited to have you on it, by the way. So.
Yeah, no, it's going to be an epic time, and it's one of those things like, I've been in the business going my 12th year, and I know you've been you got a few years ahead of me there, but, when you and I both got in the business, dude, there wasn't YouTube, right? There was no podcasts. I don't know about you, but when I got in, nobody even really heard of real estate teams, we kind of had to figure this stuff out on our own, and agents today that jump into business, it's like, man, the blessings that are out there where you can learn. Success leaves clues, right? When you can learn exactly how these people did it, it's so powerful.
I just realized my computer is dying. Oh. I don't have a charger in here. Let me see if I've got one. Hold on.
Yeah. Well, we're about wrapping up, so we'll.
I'm so. And this is an old charger. Let me. I've got one somewhere, but no, go ahead.
Yeah. So
We're doing it on Facebook Live, so it's all the better, right?
All right. So just two quick last questions. Knowing everything that you know now, if you could go back to yourself 15 years ago when you first entered this industry and give yourself two pieces of advice that you feel would have really just catapulted your success in your business, what would those two pieces of advice be?
Okay. The first one, and hold on 1 second. I'm about to be at a charger.
Well, we got to tour your office too. That worked out great.
This is my real office. It's not nearly as pretty as it is in the conference room. So, actually doesn't look too bad on camera, does it? So anyway, the thing that I'm like, how do I get this thing so you can see me? Anyway, I would say the two pieces of advice if I had to do this all over again. One would be, I'm trying to see where the light is so you can see me. One would be join a team. I would say find a strong mentor, join a team, somebody that you want to be like. And really, I wanted, for whatever reason, I didn't want a boss. So I felt like I would just go do it on my own and be on my own. Sorry about that. And then I'm closing the door because it's loud. But and then the other thing This is the other thing I would say is join a team. But the other thing I would say is from the beginning, decide what it is, and it can change, but decide what it is you're going to specialize in and be good at, whether it's a neighborhood or type of property or style, and interview more agents to know, to help you make that decision, and study that market. Because the one thing in us businesses, once agents get really successful, they're just catching up with themselves, going on listing appointments and negotiating contracts. And when you're a new agent, the thing you have, it's like David and Goliath in that book where everybody, have you read the book by Malcolm Gladwell? Well, David and Goliath, it talks about he talks about how, the weaker parties that come in and just, and take over and win, and they appear weaker or not. For example, Goliath was the big giant. He actually had disease and couldn't see well and couldn't move well. And David was this agile little young guy who knew how to shoot with his, whatever you call anyway. So and it's the same thing as a new realtor. You're the David. Like, these agents look like big, giant, indefeatable monsters, but their weaknesses, they're busy. They're all have their own challenges. They have clients who feel like you're too busy for them. And here you are, this fresh young agent. So the point I say all of that is to say, learn, specialize in something, and know it better than anyone. There's an agent in Naples, Florida named Michael Lawler. And he said and he produces I think he sells 200,000 or more a year. I don't think he has many clients. He has a team, but he himself, most of his clients, I think, are about $20 million deals. And when he got in the market, he said, I walked up and down the coast of Naples, and I learned every building and every amenity and every square foot price and everything you could possibly know about every building. And then he does a lot of advertising, but he also talked about any listing appointment I went on, I knew so much more, even though he hadn't even sold a property yet. He said, I knew so much more than every agent they interviewed, despite their level of experience, that I became the easy choice. And that's like, what can you do that nobody else can? Well, the one thing he could do that his competition couldn't, even though they had the experience for doing the transactions, they didn't have the time to study the way he did and be able to talk about the amenities in the market the way he did. And that's the other thing I would do. So I'll repeat it because that took a long time to say it. But number one, have a strong mentor, be on a team. Number two, pick your niche and know it and study it and know it better than anybody else could know it.
Yeah, love it. And I know you had Jack Cotton on your show, and I remember having Jack on my show, and it just reminded me of how he got his start, because he's this young dude in his 20s trying to get all these massive luxury listings, and what he did. He went and took every appraisal class and just learned the numbers better than everybody else and how to communicate the numbers. And
Jack was supposed to be a plumber. Jack's dad wanted to be a plumber. And Jack didn't want to be a plumber because Jack loved, and that goes back to that thing, your home is your foundation. He talks about these little tree houses he would go sit in, and he found such peace. And that's what home should be. That should be the place that you go when you find your peace. But it's like, he became a real estate agent before anybody even knew that was like what did it, I don't know if many people did it, and certainly not many men. It used to be kind of a housewife's job. And now this guy's over here like just rocking it. He's built this business. He sold it to Sotheby's, and now he's still selling for Sotheby's and speaking to Sotheby's. At Sotheby's International Realty, if there's one agent if you don't know who Jack Cotton is and you're at Sotheby's International Realty, you haven't been there more than a week, because he's just that renowned now. So
yeah, he's a badass for sure. So, all right. So, just like you started your podcast, I started this as well to go out there and give back to an industry that's just 100% changed really both of our lives, right? So those that are here that are watching and listening are here because they want to go out there and do exactly that, go out there and create the life they know they want and deserve. So do you have any last pieces of words or advice that you'd like to give them so they can do exactly that?
I remember when I got into this business, my grandmother had been a real estate agent, and she had been an agent for 8 years and she was a good agent. She was putting together some serious deals, selling churches and making neighborhoods. And she said to me, there are two parts of the story. She said to me, honey, I told her I was going to get my real estate license. She said, honey, I can remember she's sitting back in a rocking chair, and she's like, honey, just don't do it. Just don't do it. And I was like, what is she talking about? And you get in this and you don't have to spend long to know why she said that on the one end, but on the other, it's great. But on the other end, I remember I got into it, and this is what I would say. I remember I would get so discouraged. You hear I was making well into six figures within like not even 2 years. But when you're in the midst of it, it doesn't feel, you don't know that's where you're going. And some people it takes shorter and longer. But the point is, the one thing she said to me, because I can remember, I was like, this is the dumbest thing ever. She was right. But even though she said to me, don't do it, once I did it, she said to me, Jere, you just keep doing what you're doing. Just because I was doing what you're supposed to do. I was asking referrals. I was making my calls. I was doing the stuff you do. And I was going, I was going to courses. I was doing training. And she said, keep doing what you're doing and it will come. Just keep doing it. And I was like, okay. And I just kept doing it. And the next thing I knew, it was a great business to be in. And I had a great success and have pretty much ever since.
Yeah, I love it. Powerful words. And those watch and listen, I know I end every podcast with this, you guys, but information without implementation truly is just the start of delusion. Information is no longer power. It's taking that information, taking massive action on it that creates power inside your world. So Jere shared so many amazing pieces of advice with you today. Make sure that you take action on it. Implement something that you learned to go out there and create the life you know you want and deserve. And right below, whether you're watching, listening, wherever you're at, will be links to Jere's podcast. We'll try to get links to her social media sites so you can make sure to follow her on social media. And again, take immediate action. And Jere, this has been a massive honor. I know how busy you are, and I truly appreciate you taking time every day to be here.
Massive honor is mine. Thank you. You are awesome, Josh. I'm beyond excited to be here. So thank you.
Yep, 100%. Truly appreciate that. All right, you guys, thank you again, and we will see you next time.
All right, peeps, that wraps up today's show. Again, thank you so much for watching the show. I truly appreciate it. Just a few quick reminders and favors that I need from you. Number one, please share the show. Anyone you feel can benefit from this show. This truly helps us grow the show, continue going out there and having impacts on many, many lives. So it'd mean the world to me if you went out there and shared the show. Number two, if you haven't done so already, make sure to subscribe to our YouTube channel. Also, please go out there on iTunes, Stitcher, leave us a 5-star positive review. All that stuff helps for awareness of the show. Also, make sure to join the GSD Mode private Facebook mastermind group. If you haven't already, you can go to gsdmode.com. Right on the front page, there's a link there. Click that. We'll get you added right away. A lot of cool stuff in there, a lot of masterminds. We're bringing a lot of Facebook Live, different stuff in there they have access to that you can't get anywhere else. And lastly, I want to give our sponsors a quick shout out that make this show possible. So our first sponsor is my personal 90-day mastery bootcamp. This is my personal mentorship training program where I give you everything that I do inside my business, right? You get my entire playbook. We have 12 live, 3+ hour long training sessions. You get daily access to me inside the program. There's a bunch of bonus training sessions. You get access to every single thing that I do inside my business. All my tracking forms, all my presentations, checklists, lead generation tactics, lead follow-up tactics, team contracts, and so much more, you guys. There's nothing that compares to this program. You get full access to everything that I do inside my company. I hold nothing back. Go check us out, www.90daymastery.com, where you can learn more information, see future dates, see testimonials, all that fun shite. If you decide to join, make sure to plug in Live Mastery inside the promo code, all one word, all together, all caps. That'll save you 500 bones on the program, so you get it for only $997, which is a freaking steal, or 3 payments of $333. Our next sponsor is PerfectStormNow.com. So PerfectStormNow.com is an insanely effective lead generation website for realtors, and now offers a website and CRM combo with all my custom personal follow-up drips, all of my scripts that are inside there, right? So there's no guesswork. And when a lead comes in, based on the lead source, you're gonna know exactly what to say, when to say, how to say. All of it's just auto-filled, and we made it where it's dummy-proof. I mean, this system is as powerful, if not more powerful, in my opinion, than the $1,000 plus monthly websites, and it's only $199 a month. So go to PerfectStormNow.com. You can check out in-depth demos, see more testimonials, learn more information on it, all that cool jazz. Our last sponsor is EMF. So Optimized Life Nutrition has created the most powerful nootropic on the planet called EMF, Energy, Memory, Focus. So if you're like me and you want insane energy, improved memory, an extremely intense focus, This is the best product that money can buy, you guys. I personally take it every single day before I do webinars, before I do things like this, man. I'm always taking this product to go out there and enhance, again, my focus, my intensity, my memory, every aspect of it. So go out there and check right now on www.optimizedlifenutrition.com where you can learn more about EMF. Lastly, you guys, if you want to be like me and the rest of the GSD crew, as well as my real estate team and so many others that listen to this, listen to the show and support the show, make sure you're rocking this GSD mode gear, man. We want to go out there and spread the love, spread the word, spread the GSD mode name. So on the site, gsdmode.com, we have men's shirts, women's shirts. We're starting to run a lot new apparel through the site, so you see a lot more coming as well. So make sure to go check out the site, pick that up, have some fun. Thank you again for watching, and we'll see you next time. Peace out.